So let me go on here. This is a bit shorter, but what we really want to do with this session is give you an overview to the capstone and really try to give you some tips and tricks for making the most of it. This is again the PHP 594 course. So we just want to talk a little bit about what this is, and most of all, talk about what makes a successful capstone. Give you a little bit idea of what students and you might choose for your capstone. We also want to talk a bit about how PHP 596 individual studies could fit into a really nice sequence which leads to the most successful capstone experience. Tell you a little bit about resources and then also what comes next. So what is the capstone? What is PHP 594? So this is really the culmination as well as the synthesis of your experience at Penn State and whatever other background and experience you bring to your program here. But this is the place where this is all supposed to come to fruition. So you're able to build upon the program, the course material that you've had throughout the program from 410 and 510, from your hospital preparedness program and from your epidemiology course, and all bring that together into this experience. It is a 3-credit course taken towards the end of your coursework at Penn State, typically within the latter half of your program at Penn State. It might be your final course, it might be about 2/3 of the way through the program. The major outcome is a scholarly written document. And you have different options, formats that you can choose from. Most students choose a systematic review, which is a review of the literature on a topic that they choose. But you do have other options. We've had a few students who've written a grant proposal through the capstone experience. We've had a few students who have done a research project there. If it is a research project and you're collecting data from individuals, from humans, then we may need to pursue an institutional review board approval, which takes a fair amount of time. So again, it really requires good planning to be able to do a research project within 594. Or maybe you're working with a program now in your current job, public health preparedness program, and you want to evaluate it, so that might be an option for you. Or you want to design a program. That's part of your interest to design it. Or you might have a manual that you would be developing to go along with the program. It is always based upon evidence-based literature and/or data collection. But again, you choose the topic and format. So you really have the opportunity to let your personality come through in this program, in this experience. So again, what do you expect in this capstone? A scholarly paper, writing and revising. It is a stepwise development of a scholarly paper. You're not left out there doing it on your own. There are written instructions and feedback from the instructor at each step. There are 9 lessons distributed over the course of the semester, and it is structured to guide you to successful completion. So, you know, many students who get intimidated by writing a scholarly paper get scared at the beginning, or they're intimidated at the beginning. But if you just hang in there and do and work through it be consistent, work through it, each step, you will get to a successful completion. It does involve some peer review, so you'll be sharing your papers with other students in your program. There are discussion forums where you'll be talking about various parts of the paper. You do the literature review and develop an annotated bibliography as well. But that's some of the structure to the actual PHP 594. But I hope you see it as an opportunity. It's an opportunity to really dig deeply into a topic that interests you. It's an opportunity for you to develop your scholarly writing skills and experience. You won't have, I don't think any of our other courses demand as much writing, so this is an opportunity really to develop that there in conjunction with getting frequent feedback from yourself, from your instructor, as well as from your peers. You'll be able to observe the writing of fellow students and see where they're at in that continuum. And importantly, it's an opportunity to produce value. So don't think about doing this just to finish the degree, but also think about how can this contribute to the PHP literature of the field. Some students have carried their PHP 594 on to having a manuscript prepared and submitted into a peer-reviewed journal, for example. Or they may be thinking about how they're going to contribute this to the PHP profession. An example of that is we've helped students present their 594 topic at conferences. Most recently in Australia, we helped fund two PHP students to go to Australia to present their work in their PHP program to the World Association of Disaster and Emergency Medicine conference. Or you might be doing it for your employer as well, either a current one or a future. So again, we've had students in the 594 course who are employed, and they have been given an assignment or a task by their employer, or they know one's coming down the pike, and so they've used PHP 594 to produce something that's of value, this scholarly written document, or the background literature review, or maybe a program plan that's of value to your employer. So overall, be sure to see the capstone as an opportunity for you, not just a requirement. What makes it what makes one a success? So plan ahead, plan ahead, plan ahead. So as you're going through your curriculum, look for gaps in PHP knowledge and practice. What don't we know? What's missing? What hasn't been tried? And so look for those gaps, and that's a good place to begin. You should be able to identify at least a few topics by the time you complete 15 credits in the program. And you want to choose your electives, especially PHP 596, to prepare you for that capstone. So don't choose electives just because the topic, you've heard other students say that it's a good course, but does it really fit with you on your path to a successful capstone? And again, choose the topic and format that's relevant to you and your interests, your experience, or your profession. Work with your academic advisor. You'll find that person's name on LionPath if you don't know who that is. Now, that person can help you review possible topics. They can help you plan your elective curriculum so you're building towards a successful capstone. Maybe they can even review early drafts of your capstone, of your writing for your capstone as well. Enlist a mentor. So this might be a supervisor or a colleague or somebody you work with, somebody that you know that is an expert in this field, and it's an opportunity for you to invite them in to give you guidance, to give you a little bit of the knowledge that they have. It might be a PHP faculty, it doesn't have to be, but it might be a supervisor or a colleague, but somebody that really has their finger on the pulse of the topic that you're interested in, and that they're willing to give constructive criticism of your draft documents. So do look around, enlist a mentor. Again, if you are looking for suggestions, you can talk to your academic advisor about that. And use the Penn State resources that are available. The university library system has a great literature search function, for example. They can help you with reference managers such as Zotero or EndNote. And they have an expert assigned to the public health preparedness field to really help you with literature review, with searching the literature, developing references. And as I said before, aim for the stars. Don't just aim for completing the requirement. So what have students done? In general, these are some of the topics that they've chosen, such as emerging diseases and epidemics and pandemics, for example. Or maybe they've been interested in public health or the healthcare system preparation for and response to natural disasters. So how does the healthcare system prepare for that? Developing plans, drills, exercises might all be part of that. We've had students who are very interested in the transportation and care of victims in mass casualty incidents. So for example, surgeons have been in our program. They've been very interested in the preparation of their profession for mass casualty incidents. Or we've had students who have been in search and rescue, and so they use that opportunity then to dig more deeply into the search and rescue field. Then, of course, there's the role of health systems or government, industry, and social media in public health preparedness. Some people might take more of a social science perspective to it, or a public policy perspective to their capstone as well. So here's just a list of some topics that students have, the topics that students have chosen for their 594. So just pick out a few here. So pandemic influenza A in the United States, are we prepared? What about contaminated bushmeat? Is that a threat to the US? Public health and national security concerns related to obesity in the United States. Preparedness assessment for mass casualty incidents in Lagos, Nigeria. So this was a student who was, he's a Nigerian, and so he naturally did his work on mass casualty incidents there. The prescription drug epidemic, we've heard so much about that in the literature, and people have talked about that as a national security issue, and I think there's some good background for good justification for considering it that. Active shooter scenes in smart cities, a systematic review. So anyway, this just gives you the tip of the iceberg of topics that students have done in the past. We do have a more comprehensive list available at this website. So again, as you're thinking about your topic, you might want to look at this and see if there's something that piques your interest. Again, don't do it just because somebody else did it, but make it your own. So I want to jump now and talk about the individual studies course, PHP 596. So this is an opportunity for you to design your own course on a topic that interests you. Maybe you want to gain a skill or a competency that you don't have. Maybe you want to do an internship. So this is a course that is offered every semester. It's an individual studies course, so you would design the course and the curriculum, and you would iteratively negotiate what the syllabus would look like for you in this project. So not only what you would be doing, but also how you would be evaluated, what kind of grade would be assigned. What criteria would be used to assign a grade. So just the logistics of PHP 596. It is offered every semester, as I said. It can be repeated. So you can take 596 in 2 different semesters. You can take it for 1 to 9 credits. So you could conceivably take a 1 credit 596 now and a 2 credit later on to give you 3 credits in 596. Maybe you've got an idea that actually would be better spread out over 2 semesters, for example. We at Penn State do consider 3 credits to be equivalent to about 9 hours per week for each of 15 weeks. This is time that you would be spent in reading or writing or collecting data. So this is the academic time that you need to spend on that course. So when you design your course, this is sort of the benchmark that we want you to use. Of course, work with your academic advisor. There are 3 faculty that can serve as instructors for your 596, Dr. Gannon, Dr. McGregor-Skinner, or myself. And it all starts with submitting a course request to me. So it's a simple document. If you just tell me that you're interested in 596, we can send this to you. Rachel can send it to you. And you would begin filling it out. Again, the title, the topic, who you want to be your instructor, the number of credits you're looking for, what sort of curriculum you want to go through, are there readings, are there textbooks that you want to delve into, what do you want to do, and then also begin to talk about how you want us to evaluate you and whether you're completed as well. So previous students have really done a nice job at coupling 596 and 594 together. So for example, one student conducted community forums. That was her 596 project. And then in her 594 project, she developed an emergency response plan. So she gathered the data from the community in 596 and then was able to use that very specific data for her own community in 594. We've had another student who researched infectious disease risks on ocean vessels. Again, that was her 596. And then she developed a software app and a description of that app for the Coast Guard in her 594 program. We've had another student who was very interested in the issue of the health of unaccompanied minors crossing the southern border. So she wanted data on what the issues were. So she did she really she talked to a lot of people. She interviewed people. She searched databases to see what she could find about the health of unaccompanied minors. And then she did a program evaluation of that in PHP 594. As I think I mentioned before, we've had surgeons who designed a survey and collected data on mass casualty training, and then wrote a manuscript and prepared for professional presentations in their 594. So that's just an example of some of the ways students have paired 596 and 594 together. Again, we have a list of what students have done for 596. I'll just mention here also that you could get credit in a 596 for an internship. There needs to be an academic component to it as well, but an internship might be an option for you in 596 then as well. So this is just a glimpse into what previous students have done for 596, and in some cases coupled it with their 594 project then also. We do have resources available. Tutor.com might be available, might help you out there. Again, ask your professor, your advisor. And of course, the PHP seminars are always a resource that you can use. For example, the library. If you go to this site, you can see the full list of resources that we have available there. And again, as I said, aim for the stars and then celebrate. So plan to submit your work to conferences and meetings, such as the annual Preparedness Summit in March or April. This year it's in Texas. I think it spans the end of March and the first couple of days of April. We've had presentations there in the past. And as I mentioned before, a couple of our students presented posters. Actually, one of them won best poster for the day, which was the best poster of about 80 submissions at the World Association of Disaster and Emergency Medicine. You could publish your paper in peer-reviewed journals, such as the Journal of Emergency Management or Disaster Medicine and Public Health Preparedness. And we are also planning for a student award. This will be the first time it's been offered in 2020, first time. So stay tuned for that. So we do want to recognize a top student or two. And so again, 594 would be a key to evaluating students' performance. And then finally, please come to commencement in May in Hershey. And this is where we get together, we have a great time, slap each other on the back and congratulate everybody, meet your family. But it's really a great time, and we really encourage you to plan to come to commencement in May. If you happen to graduate in August or in December, you can delay your commencement until May and come to Hershey and be able to participate with the rest of us at that time. So what's next? Again, so we do expect you to review this. There is an assignment in 410 that Jen will be looking at. But if you're not currently enrolled in PHP 410, send a message to Rachel saying that you reviewed this. Give us feedback on it as well. And again, this is going to go up on the seminar website, so it'll be available for you to watch again, particularly as you are preparing for your culminating experience here in PHP. And of course, you've got your advisor to contact and be able to give you guidance as well. So we are here to help you. So reach for the stars, particularly through your culminating experience of 594, possibly coupled with a 596 experience. So Jen, that's all the presentation.
Great. Well, thank you very much. Do we have any last minute questions? Greg, you're welcome. I'm glad that you were able to come. You are very welcome. This was helpful for us to put together, and I hope it's going to be just as helpful for you. So the only other thing that I have is just another reminder that our next month's webinar is going to be on November 6th at 8